Everybody, I got my nephew over here. Well, I call him my nephew. We're practically family.
We are family, and I've tried to perpetuate the myth, because if you say it enough times, it becomes true. I'm like, yeah, my Uncle Norm, and people believe it, which is great.
I know somebody ask you, do you see your uncle? And you're going,
I'm like,
Uncle.
oh, you mean Norm? Yes. So I brought something in for show and tell. I like to torture you every once in a while. You're the king.
What are you going to charge when you just look at this?
Well, back in the carnival days, it would be 50 cents a gander.
Oh, there you go. Well, I think I got 50 cents.
Right.
Well, you can see this case. This is one of the cleanest original Flying V cases on the planet. But there must be a messed up guitar inside there. And I guess not. Wow. This is about the nicest Flying V that ever was. And Joe, I'm sure you got punished a little bit, but in the long run, he's going to be a genius on all this stuff. But in the short run, you're the victim.
Well, you know what? A friend of mine, my friend Don, and we go back about 4 years, and he bought it in 1978, and he wanted a Burst or a Flying V. And a music store in Oklahoma City, Driver Music, called and said, hey, a preacher just walked in with one of those Flying V things that you wanted. And, Don was like, okay, and this guitar comes into his life. And he kept it for, well, I'm 42, so he bought it in 78, so it's basically, he's kept it for 41 years. And one of my favorite...
You're 42?
I'm 42.
Man, I knew him when he was 12. I'm 42 plus some years.
Right.
And plus a lot of years.
The miraculous thing about my favorite picture, and I have the original receipt, he paid $1,200 in 1978, which I joked with him, a guitar was expensive back then, and it's expensive now. It's never been cheap, this thing.
Right.
It's pretty well preserved. There's a few checks, but it's really well preserved. It's probably the nicest one I've ever seen. I've seen a few of these.
Well, it may be the nicest one that I've ever seen. There was one in New York that... actually a cop had.
Wow.
And I turned this guy on in New York to buy it from me, and he ended up buying it for himself.
Right.
I mean, that's a little point of contention there.
Right.
I never got to see it, but it was supposed to be super clean.
And I know Brian Fisher has a really nice, clean and preserved one. I've never seen it. I've never met Brian, but I hear the rumor.
This is pretty ridiculous.
But the best part about it now, considering how well preserved it is, there's the picture of it in the snow. This is what not to do with your Flying V, especially if it's really well preserved. And then Don
and then take it and put it near a heater or something.
Yeah, exactly. And but Don took a bunch of pictures, and I have the original receipt. So it's just a very mint Flying V. And you started me on this wedge-shaped journey almost 5 years ago in 2015 when I came to you and I got Amos. And now I never thought in a million years I would have 3 of these things, but here we are.
That's why they call them collectors, right?
Addicts, victims, broke people. It's like
I don't imagine this sounds any good, right?
It does sound really good, and the problem with it is it doesn't. It's like I don't have the heart to use it in battle conditions because, at the end of the day.
So you're not going to use it on the ship out in the rain or any of that kind of stuff?
No,
okay.
No, it won't play. This won't be in the rain. And, one of the great things about Flying Vs is they have a really interesting sound. They kind of drive up the middle between a Les Paul and a Strat. And I learned this over the years playing one live. And it's just a really nice, light example. And there's only 80 or 90 of these out there. And this is
Albert, one of our idols, was known for this. Let's see if this guitar... I'll let you dial it in here.
There you go. Let's see. I want to spill my coffee.
I don't imagine it sounds that great, but
and one of the easiest things to do is play a Flying V standing up with no guitar strap. So
yeah.
It does that thing, And,
yes, it does.
And it's it's authentic and old because the pots are cranky and cuts in and out.
And I was just kidding about. Now it sounded great. I mean, Carina PAFs.
Yeah.
What's not to like?
And you know, it's just a this is the collector part of me. The player likes the stuff that's beat up. The collector in me loves the stuff like you that's really well preserved and mint, because they don't make this anymore.
Well, he's the only guy I know that. I was on the cruise, and Joe was up playing a 59 Paul.
Spot was in the rain.
Spot. And it was outside on deck, and it starts to drizzle. And I'm watching Joe, and he's not like handing the guitar off, and I'm kind of going, are you kidding me? And he comes off the stage, and I'm standing right there. I go, are you nuts? He goes, these people.
Kinda.
Well, that I know. He says, people paid to see me. They came this far. They're paying to see me. I want to give them the best I got. And he did. And
yeah, I mean, if it was pouring, I would have handed the guitar back. But it was a light misting, and Spot was okay. And now currently resides in Paris, and it survived.
There you go. Well, these guitars are meant to take a licking and keep on ticking.
They are. And you know, one of the thing about V's is it's a very simple guitar, and it was a knee-jerk reaction by Ted McCarty when he was kind of embarrassed at the NAMM show, going, you know, you make old men's guitar, and Leo's kicking your ass. And he was like, I'll show you.
Well, take this.
And then he comes up with this, and
the
Explorer.
And the Modern.
But think about it, if you were a kid, this was like $265 in '58, and you convinced your parents to buy you an electric guitar, and you walked into a shop like this in '58 and said,
your parents
I'll
said,
take the V-shaped one. Not that one, son.
Yeah.
You know, and that's basically why they stopped making them. They made a couple batches.
It was too futuristic for the.
It was way ahead of its time. But you know, in 2019, it's just super cool.
Joe, could you just sit and play a few more notes on the thing? I always put this guy to work. The poor guy comes in, you know. And by the way, I got to say something.
Have a pick.
He comes off. You got a pick?
I got a pick.
Comes off the road with his band.
Doesn't even work. There you go. There you go.
Comes in off the road with his band. And now he's playing at the Baked Potato with the Rock Candy Funk Party.
Tell me about
It's a whole other thing. Don't you take a break, man? What the fuck?
We just had
What's wrong with you?
We just had a half-hour conversation about that, or lack thereof, a break, you know. But you know, I'm a working musician, and I'm very lucky to do this for a living. And the Rock Candy Funk Party gigs at the Baked Potato are fun. And
what a great band! And it takes it in a whole different direction.
And my hands hurt because we just did 6 shows in 3 days. So I'm gonna play 6 notes for you. All
right, make them good.
It's more like, it's like 7. But
all right, the great Joe Bonamassa.
Thank you,
my nephew. I love this guy. And you know, one thing I got to say, just for you guys that don't know Joe, he is everything that a musician should be. I mean, you're a great guitar player, but as a person, one of my favorite people, and he helped so many young artists get known.
Yeah.
And the Blues Cruise and all that kind of stuff.
It's what people, you know, it's what it's about. It's about sharing, and there's room for everybody, and it's one of those things where you just go, you know, I've been very fortunate and lucky in my life to even get to beat around this stuff, let alone own a guitar like this and be able to play music for a living. So you never hear me complaining.
There you go. And his dad had a store kind of like this.
Right.
A little smaller back in the day. And so you grow up, you didn't have all this stuff, and sometimes you had to sell stuff at the end of the month to pay the bills.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, you know, when I lived in New York, I lived on ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly. Still my favorite lunch. And it was a real struggle. And like I would go, well, I need a Strat and a Les Paul, sell the telly. And then I needed a telly, sell the Strat.
I remember you had a brown Princeton amp you were telling me or something.
Yeah, I had a blackface Princeton amp and you know, and a deluxe reverb and a Marshall Silver Jubilee and a Dream and some personal initiative and Italian tenacity. And that was it. And that's how I became infamous for doing this. Well, not famous, infamous. There's 2 letters. So
that's right.
I'm infamous. So.
There you go. I'm something else. It's not even infamous. Right. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm always honored when Joe comes in. And you know,
I haven't seen you in a while, so thank you very much. And it's always nice to be here and hang out with the family. So.
The great Joe Bonamassa. Thank you, my brother.
Norman.
My nephew. Sorry, not my brother.
Nephew Joe. Cheers.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Isn't that cool?
Oh, it's ridiculous.